Good evening everyone, how's everybody doing this lovely Thursday night? It's quite warm, isn't it? Oh, it is here anyway. Everybody doing this lovely Thursday night. It's quite warm, isn't it? Oh, it is here anyway. Hold a tiny bit of roofing up. And I just realised I've got no more roof tiles cut out, so I'll have to do that at some point. So I'm back to my trusty Foamex here, and I'm just carving out a few pieces of side wall with some stone blocks. You're not really going to see these, but I'm doing it anyway. So I just need to carve both sides, and then I need to put a little piece on the inside. Sorry, in the end. I just realised I've not carved this side, or not scribed in the horizontals on this side. It's easier to do the horizontals with a ruler, and then I'll just do the verticals by eye. It's a very rough stone, and like I say, you're not really going to see this unless you get your eyes down to ground level, or if I'm taking some photographs from low down. So I just want to scribe on roughly and quickly some stone markings, and I'll just give this a rough sand. I already have done, but I'll give it another rough sand because it doesn't feel rough enough. Just to take the surface off, and then I can give the Foamex a rough coat or a base coat of stone colour. See, there you go, that's the sort of stone effect you get out of it. And like I say, I just need to give it a quick sand. Sorry if I'm making it rock a little. Now it needs another piece just at the front there, which is like a sort of return, just a supporting structure. So I just need to make it a bit wider. Just mark off how high it needs to be. And if I just use this to mark on where the stone layers meet up, that will help. I want a really small set square now. This one. Yeah, I think that's about wide enough. I'm going to cut it there, but before I do, it's going to be too small to... good evening, Georgia. It's going to be too small to properly line up the stone mark, so I'll just do it before I cut it. Because otherwise it was slipping everywhere. And then what I do, just to make sure I go around the corner, I'll just cut into where those stone blocks go. And I can just repeat on the other side with the scribe, which I've just put down somewhere. Again, this is just a little bit of overkill because you won't see this, but at least I know it's there. just going to put a little divider stone in the middle there. I keep losing my ruler. Right, there we go. So a little block of stone. It's a bit late for finishing school, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know. My son finished college last week, so that's why it feels late. But I know everyone's different. I've had a few days at home this week, which has been fun. They've gone away on holiday, and I'm at home on my own. Alright, so what we got going on here is I just need to glue that onto there like that. Okay, so we got a nice little sort of return wall thing, and then that will sit on here. Except I've done something really stupid, haven't I? I've cut it too long for some reason. Why have I done that? It's too long. Oh well, at least I can rectify that. I'll just rip it off. So I want to cut it off. There. So it's not quite glued on fully yet. I must obviously have mismeasured when I've been measuring. That shouldn't make too much difference. Although it has made some difference. Let's start doing that again, shall we? Could fudge it by sticking another little bit at the bottom, but it doesn't take too long to make a new piece. So let's just do that. That's where let's trim it. So that's my height. I've already got markings on the other side. That one fits. So we'll just do that again. It's a good job I didn't try and glue it in place, isn't it? Right, so that's a much better fit there now. Before I glue it in place, I will just give it a coat of paint because I'm not going to be able to get to it very easily from the other side. So I'm going to use some of my Portland stone. Oops, a little bit too much there. I couldn't find it then, it's right in front of me. Okay, just leave that one side a minute whilst I've got the paint out. I'll just paint this bit above. I just need a little bit more. This is just a bit around the corner, but it's going to be mostly hidden by the little lean-to, but some of it won't be. I had a pretty decent day today, thank you, Georgia. I've been doing a bit of pottering in the garage, trying to find a way through to the railway layout. And then when I got fed up with doing that, I did some... I didn't do anything. I watched some movies. So I've just done a bit of me time, relaxing, not doing much. I did have a goal in mind. I've wanted to do a little bit of rail joining for the thing I'm working on in the garage, and I've been putting it off and putting it off. And today I set myself the goal of actually getting it done, and I at least managed to do that today. But I was using my little Dremel tool to cut some rail pieces, and I think I've got something in my eye because it's stinging like crazy. Shouldn't really laugh about that, but yeah, it's. I think I've got a little bit of grit or something in my eye, so I'm going to have a bath later on and sort of steam it out. Where's my hairdryer? I could do with drying off that little bit of wall I've painted, so I can stick it in. Is it already plugged in? Yes, it is. So I'm just going to use the hairdryer a second. Bear with me. Should be dry enough. Yes, it has been warm, hasn't it? I was out and I actually cut the grass. That's another thing I've done today is I've cut the grass. But I was thinking, oh, it's a bit too warm really to be out doing garden stuff. And I just nipped out to the shop this evening, and I noticed that the air is really warm. I'm just doing that by eye and it looks straight enough. Right, I need to glue that down, but before I do, I just want to mark off just how wide the pillar section is, because I need to replicate that for something else. As luck would have it, it's pretty much identical. to that size there, so I can just use that. I need to glue two of those together, and what I've done with this is put a piece of Foamex on the outside and on the inside. So it's MDF there, and I've put Foamex there. Now this is just so I can carve some stone details in, and it's just going to be a lot easier onto Foamex than it is with MDF. Although I could have used the laser cutter to cut me some pieces, but I decided to go Foamex for this part. It's only a small section. I need to put some stonework on the pillar, and it also runs down the inside wall now. Now this set square is too short for that bit, so I need to get out my old trusty ancient one. Again, I need to come around the corner. I'm just looking for my scalpel. There we go. So if I just mark off carefully where it comes to, and I can do a corresponding line on the other side. I'm using the back of my scalpel here, but I've just got to be careful I don't slip and stab myself, which I've been known to do before. It's not that easy to do on such a small piece. I'm just going to try and get a square edge. Right, like I did with the other ones, I just want to mark off some sort of split stones. So that'll just need a quick sorry, that'll just need a quick blast with stone colour. I might just put a bit of Foamex capping right on the end of there just to hide that MDF. I could use a bit of filler, but I've left the filler in the garage. So I'll just clad, that's the word I'm looking for, I'll just clad this end here with some 1mm Foamex, just so it matches the same finish and hides that. MDF join. Good evening, Dave. Just a short one tonight because I've not been on for a while, but I'm not going to do much tonight. As you can see with the badly placed piece of courtyard, I've started to put the courtyard together. I've taken absolutely ages describing all the crazy paving into this piece of Foamex, and I've got a little bit of wall made to slip down there. So this is going to hide all the electrics. I need to glue that in place. It will sit just around there, but I've got to put some glue in properly yet. And I'm just making the little bit of lean-to at the side here. Ouch. So to do that, I'm just using a couple of pieces of MDF glued together, and then an off-cut piece of 1mm Foamex to sort of clad it with, and make some stonework. So like with the others, I'll just carve the stone around the corner. Right, need some more paint. I'm just going to paint the inside floor and that bit of wall around it, and then the other side of this before I glue it down. I've lost my bit of upside down margarine tub. I always keep these little tubs and lids from when I've used them, because they're extremely handy for making like disposable paint palettes, or you can just keep them forever and just keep rinsing them out and using them whenever, but they do make great little paint tubs. big wash of black afterwards, so it doesn't have to be a great paint job. I'll just give that a quick blast with the hairdryer so I can stick it in place. Don't get my thumbs all over it. I'll just give that a quick blast with the hairdryer so I can stick it in place. Don't get my thumbs all over it. Some glue applied on that bit, and this is just sat a little bit off the ground, so oops, I just need to manoeuvre it into place. A little notch out for that. It's going to need a little bit of persuasion, I think. Yeah, that's better. That's now done. Now I need to make myself a little bit of roof, and to do that I could probably do with making a cardboard template before I cut the actual material I want to use. It's because it's on a strange angle. This is why it's helpful to make templates first, so you can just keep fine-tuning and adjusting until it fits. Right, that's that one. I'm going to need a piece of template for the tiling for that. I'm just looking to see if I've got another rough cut of 1mm that I can use, because I don't want to. And there we go, that's a nice little handy piece. So I can use this. Which way up was it? Sorry, couldn't see what I was doing there. I'll just use this as a handy cutout template. Just trying to optimise the piece of card. Portland stone. It's a really nice colour, and it's the stone colour that I've used for the majority of the walls. I now have to do this section around here, which I had left off until I'd managed to texturise this. So we're going to do a bit of painting now. I'll start off with the bits that need a bit of a fine detail. Paintbrush, and then I can use the bigger brush to sort of mop up with, so to speak. It's a nice thin paint, this, because it's been formulated for airbrushes, so it's thinned down already. I'm currently sat in my workroom, which is the conservatory, and it's had a lot of sun today, so it's really, really hot. So I don't know how long I'm going to last. I'm already feeling like I'm burning up. It feels like I'm in direct sun and I'm inside. So the other aspect of it being a warm room like this is that paint tends to dry really quickly. So it's quite a good job that it's all watered down anyway. If I was using the thicker acrylic paint, it starts drying up in this sort of humidity almost as soon as you've put the paint down. really enjoyed creating this interior door. Not interior door, this exterior doorway. It's a nice little ornate doorway in the wall. Leads to the inner courtyard. I'd already laid down a base coat of UK light stone, but it's too pale a colour. So this Portland stone colour is much more accurate, although it will need a little bit of weathering. It's a bit too bright and fresh. I'll just run over with some very dilute black oil paint to grey it down a little. Good morning, Corrie. It's a while since we've seen you. I've had 3 days off work this week, so I've tried to get a bit of work done, but I've really taken the time off to have some time to myself. So although I've done a little bit of pottering around, I've spent most of my time just watching Marvel movies. I've had an empty house, so why not? I just needed to take some time to myself rather than... Because usually if I take a bit of time off, I end up doing loads of work. Or loads of my work, and it's not very restful. And I do need to recharge the batteries every now and again. Okay, now I've just gone around the edges, I can switch to a wide flat brush. I have airbrushed the rest of this, but I didn't feel like bringing it out just for this small section. So I've just done the odd bits and pieces. I don't know if you can just... Oh, you can't see from that angle. If I just pan up a little, I've done some work in the courtyard, just beyond here. All the paving stones in the courtyard in the background have been hand carved, and I was just watching some movies with that sat on a piece of board on my lap, just scribing away. So I was able to just idly get all that scribing done whilst kind of relaxing. Oh, that's good to hear. I didn't know that. Well, I suppose it's coincided. I've had a bit of a quiet June to myself, really. I haven't done an awful lot of work. I've just put it to one side for a while because I've just been feeling really burnt out just recently. I didn't want to admit it to myself, but although I really, really enjoy doing this, and I don't feel like it's an awful lot of pressure, I just haven't felt like doing it. I just really haven't felt like doing it. So I've just sat in my workroom just watching movies on the laptop and generally not doing anything. But the family have gone on a short break this week. Unfortunately, I couldn't go with them. Various reasons, but so I thought, no, I'll book some time off for myself and I'll have my own little holiday. So yeah, I went out and cut the grass yesterday, but I feel that's about as productive as I can get. But I have felt like coming in and catching up with this because I've been taking my time getting this section done, and this is actually the last. It's the last structural section. Once I've got this done, it's time to start adding details and then put it onto a base. Like I said about the warm room, the paint's already drying up on the palette. I could do with spending more time outside, to be honest. I really, because our garden's quite big, I really find it daunting going out there and doing any tidying up work. So I've kind of neglected it, and now with all the damp weather interspaced with sunny spells, the garden's absolutely exploded. So it needs some attention. It's far too warm to go out there at the moment though. After having a bit of a terrible July so far in terms of weather, it's actually looking like summer out there at the moment. So ironically, it's actually too warm to go out and spend some time out there. I did want to do a bit of pottering around in the garage because I've got a model railway layout that I need to work on. I spent about an hour in there yesterday, but I was absolutely dripping with sweat because it's like a greenhouse in there. It's far too. It's actually a little bit worse than this room, even though this is all glass roofed. It's like a tin box. It just retains heat when it's hot. So it's far too warm to be working out in the garage. It's too warm to be sat in here really, but I'm just going to crack on and get a base coat on this section before I can do anything else. I need to make some custom gutters for all around the building, and then I need to go around adding some drain pipes. I've got a few little ancillary details to add in place in some places, you know, like electric boxes, and there's a set of shutter doors for some reason that's I don't know what its original purpose was for, but there's a set of shutter doors that I need to set into this wall as well. Just a sort of low hatch about here. I have made them, I just can't remember where I've put them. It probably would have been much more economical on the paint front if I'd airbrushed it on. But sometimes you just gotta brush. Like I said, the finish on this is a little bit too perfect. In the real world, a lot of this rendering is falling off, but I'm doing a mix of as it is and sort of renovation style. So I've tidied up a lot of the decorative paint stonework, and like I say, I've left the render perfect as opposed to falling off, but I'll sort of counteract that by weathering it up a little. So yes, all that stonework, and it still needs a little bit more attention paint-wise, but all that stonework, the paving, crazy paving, as it appears to be, was all hand-scribed. But I managed to do most of that whilst sat in front of the TV. The only problem being is that my eyesight's terrible now that I need a separate pair of glasses for distance and close. So I kept having to take my glasses off so I couldn't see the TV screen, just so I could concentrate on what I was doing. Right, that's going to be covered up, so I don't need to paint that bit. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. There are different areas that have had different treatments. So if you just look at the tower here, in some cases I've just used a dark wash to put a dark sort of grout in, and in this case I've put some filler in to sort of represent a bit of filled mortar. But on the paving slabs it's all dark gaps, so I've just left it as open. So I haven't filled it at all. But sometimes I use filler, sometimes I use a mixture of different oil washes just to fill it in properly. So now that's done, I can fit the roof for that section of wall. I managed to just put my fingerprints on it now, I think. So just move here. It's still a little bit rough looking in places, but this corner here now needs a roof putting on. So I made the roof earlier, tiled the roof earlier. So that's ready to glue on, and then I'm going to need to put a wash on it. So I've got some, is it medium? No, it's high viscosity. It's high viscosity super glue here. It's my favourite because it's thicker. And it doesn't run. But even so, MDF is quite porous and soaks it up quite quickly. And there we go, that's set quite quick. Well, it's set quite quick because I used the activator spray. Okay, now I've done that, I can add a black wash that will just enhance all those stones. And I did have a brush. What have I done with that brush? I know what I've done with that brush, put it there. I'll go back to my flat bottom brush again. Just this one. And this here is just a mix of black oil paint and white spirit to thin it down. It's actually a bit thick. I think it's the paint has coalesced a little bit at the bottom. So I just need to add a little bit more white spirit to thin it further. This both darkens the tiles and puts a nice little enhancement between all the gaps. So what I'll do is once all this is properly dried, I think I can then go over and dry brush it to create a more random weathered effect. And this is purely to just refine all the shadows between all the tiles. Because it just, even though you can see them in real life, it does tend to get a little bit lost. There's just a couple of spots where I need to go back over again on the other parts. The dry brushing stage is going to be fun. I just want to go back over the courtyard now and sort of blend in all those colours. There's a combination of greys and beiges and going over it with the black oil wash will just tie those shades in together so it's not as patchy. This bit here is going to be a bit of planted area. Doesn't really need covering, but I'm going to cover it anyway. And once this is set, I'm just going to go over with some grey pigment just to flatten it all off a little. To try and drag out the paint strokes. Smooth out the paint strokes, that's what I was looking at. It looks a little bit vicious at the moment, but once that's all dried in, it won't look as harsh. Right, that's as much highlighting as I want to do right now. I'm just going to come back round to the front and speed up the drying process, even though it's drying quite quickly. I just want to speed the drying process up a little on that wall that I've done. I'm going to use a hairdryer. Except my wire's tangled up. Just do a quick touch test to make sure it has dried. Now what I want to do is just wash over it with a very thin covering of neat white spirit, so it sorry, wandered off here looking for a tub to put some white spirit into. I just want to put a very thin layer of neat white spirit down so that the wash isn't going to be too harsh, because all I want to do is just give it a slight covering, rather than thinning my wash down too much. And in fact, this is just giving me what I want, because the brush has got a little bit of dark pigment on it already, so It's just reacting with the neat white spirit, just giving me a little bit of tone. And I can just tone down that colour of neat stone. I'll just put a little bit of colour on. Well, black's not a colour, is it? A little bit of tone. Call it a tone. And as you can see, it just washes into those recesses really nicely. It just makes all the difference. Changes it from being a flat colour to a slightly weathered look, as if the rain has done its job on it over a few years. Shouldn't do, should it? I don't know. But yes, I had to think for a moment what your what your YouTube was, but I've remembered now. It does make sense, doesn't it? Because I was known as someone else on TikTok. Sorry, not TikTok, Twitter for ages, and then I had to take the decision to change my name from something that I'd kept for a long time. But I've just got all my socials tied down to the one username now. There we go. It's a little bit too harsh, I think, perhaps. So I'll just use a little bit of kitchen roll and dab it clear. Doesn't look like I'm doing an awful lot, but I am. I'm just lifting a little bit of that shade off. It's a cleaner stone colour around the corner. That should be do. No, there's no point letting it go to waste, is there? Especially not if you've built up a bit of a following and you've had a few sort of big hitting videos as well, haven't you? So. Right, okay. I think I've done enough with that at the moment. And I'm getting really hot, so I'm gonna go take a little rest for a while, because it's too warm. It's too warm to sit in here. I'm just dripping. So I'll see you all again in a little while, and thank you for watching so far. Let me just show you the full thing. There we go. That courtyard needs a bit of attention. It's too dark at the moment, so I will fix that.